The Galactic Council's chambers fell silent as Admiral Zethkar's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among the Vorthak. His crystalline exoskeleton gleamed under the artificial suns that lit the massive dome, casting fractured rainbows across the assembled delegates. "Humans," he announced, his translator rendering his chittering voice into cold, mechanical words. "The Council has reviewed Earth's application for membership in the Galactic Defense Coalition. The verdict is amusing." Ambassador Sarah Chen remained perfectly still in her seat, though every instinct screamed at her to respond. Around her, representatives from dozens of species, some with tentacles, others with multiple heads, a few existing as pure energy, within containment suits, waited with barely concealed anticipation. "Your species," Zethkar continued, "has barely mastered interplanetary travel. Your weapons are crude projectile systems and chemical explosives. Your military doctrine relies on—" He paused, consulting his datapad, throwing metal at each other very quickly. The chamber erupted in what could charitably be called alien laughter. Chen stood slowly, her simple black uniform stark against the ornate robes and biomechanical augmentations surrounding her. "Admiral, with respect, I believe you may be operating on outdated intelligence." "Outdated?" Zethkar's compound eyes focused on her with predatory intensity. "Child, we've been monitoring your world for 3 centuries. We know exactly what humanity is capable of." "Then you'll know," Chen said quietly, "that humans have a saying: necessity is the mother of invention." The Vorthak Admiral dismissed her with a wave of his primary manipulator. "Your application is denied. Earth will remain under our protection as a protectorate world. Perhaps in another millennium, when you've developed proper energy weapons and defensive shields, we can revisit this conversation." Chen nodded once. "I understand. In that case, I invoke Provision 847 of the Galactic Charter." A ripple of confusion swept through the chamber. Even Zethkar's translator seemed to hesitate before rendering his response. "Provision 847? "The right of demonstration," Chen explained. "Any species denied membership may demonstrate their military capabilities in a controlled engagement. Winner takes all." The laughter that followed was deafening. Zethkar's entire thorax shook with mirth. "You wish to face the Vorthak 7th Fleet? Our ships have plasma cannons that can crack moons, shielding that laughs at solar radiation, and artificial intelligences that can process 1 million battle scenarios per second." "We do." "Very well." Zethkar's mandibles spread wide in what humans had learned to recognize as a Vorthak grin. "1 standard week from now, neutral space, Kepler 442 system. Bring whatever toys you think might impress us." 7 days later, Fleet Admiral Marcus Webb stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, humanity's first and only deep space warship. Through the viewports he could see the Vorthak 7th Fleet, 27 vessels of impossible beauty, their hulls seeming to bend light itself, energy crackling between their weapon arrays like caged lightning. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "Admiral Zethkar is hailing us. He's laughing. Again." Webb nodded grimly. The Prometheus was impressive by human standards. Nuclear pulse propulsion, railgun batteries, and enough missile pods to level a small city. But against energy shields and plasma weapons, it looked like a stone axe facing a laser cutter. "Open a channel," Webb ordered. Zethkar's image materialized on the main screen, his translator adding electronic smugness to every word. "Admiral Webb, I almost feel guilty about this. Your single ship against our entire fleet? Perhaps we should call this off before anyone gets hurt." "Admiral," Webb replied calmly, "you're making the same mistake everyone does when they look at humans. You see what we've built, not what we're capable of building." "And what exactly are you capable of, Primitive?" Webb smiled, an expression that had unnerved aliens across the galaxy. "We're capable of cheating." The first salvo came from the Vorthak flagship, a coherent beam of plasma that should have vaporized the Prometheus in milliseconds. Instead, it struck what appeared to be empty space 10 kilometers short of its target, dispersing harmlessly in a shower of sparks. Zethkar's mandibles clicked in confusion. "Impossible. Our sensors show nothing there." That's the point, Webb said. Stealth plating, Admiral. We call it metamaterial cloaking. Bends electromagnetic radiation around an object. Your sensors can't see what isn't there. But the cloaked barrier was just the beginning. As the Vorthak fleet moved to surround what they believed was humanity's position, gravity itself seemed to hiccup. 3 of their ships found themselves pulled violently, off course, their formation collapsing as they fought against invisible forces. Gravitational manipulation, Webb explained conversationally. We can't generate the massive energies you use for FTL, but we got very good at using small amounts of energy efficiently. A few precisely placed artificial gravity wells, and your ships danced to our tune. Zethkar's image was beginning to flicker with static. This is impossible. Your technology level was assessed 3 centuries ago, Webb finished. Tell me, Admiral, in those 3 centuries of watching us, did you ever consider what we might accomplish if we knew we were being watched? The truth began to dawn on the alien commander. Humanity hadn't been struggling with primitive technology. They'd been putting on a show. Every failed experiment, every accidental discovery, every limitation that seemed to hold them back had been carefully orchestrated misdirection. The projectile weapons were real, Webb continued, as more Vorthak ships found themselves trapped in gravity snares or firing uselessly at cloaked barriers. But they were never our endgame. They were our distraction. While you watched us throw metal at each other, we were mastering quantum mechanics, exotic matter manipulation, and information warfare. As if summoned by his words, the Vorthak fleet's advanced AI systems began shutting down one by one. Ships that had been marvels of technological achievement suddenly found themselves flying blind, their computers compromised by viruses that shouldn't have been able to exist. Quantum computing, Webb said simply. When your entire fleet relies on digital systems, and we can insert code that exists in probability superposition until observed, well, the observer effect becomes a weapon. Within minutes, the mighty 7th Fleet hung dead in space, not destroyed but completely neutered. Their weapons offline, their engines disabled, their crews unharmed, but utterly defeated by technologies they hadn't even known existed. Zethkar's image stabilized one final time, his compound eyes reflecting something that might have been respect or fear. How long? He asked quietly. How long have you been capable of this? Webb considered the question. The basic theories? About a century. The practical applications? Let's say we've been ready for this conversation for longer than you might think. The Council, Zethkar said slowly, will want to know how this is possible. It's simple, Webb replied. You assumed that because we were primitive when you found us, we'd remain primitive. You forgot the most dangerous thing about humans. Which is? Webb's smile widened. We learn. 3 months later, Ambassador Chen sat in the same council chambers, but the atmosphere was decidedly different. The Galactic Defense Coalition's newest member had rewritten the rules of engagement for an entire galaxy, and every species present was reconsidering their assumptions about the small bipedal creatures from the 3rd planet of an unremarkable yellow star. As the formal ceremonies concluded and Earth took its place among the stars, Chen allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had always been underestimated. They were counting on it staying that way.